When this movie was delayed last year, I was really sad because this is one of those horror movies I was really excited to see. The original Candyman is so underrated. These past couple of years, it's kind of grown back into that classic form. The original Candyman is a creepy, nostalgic classic, if you ask me. So a sequel, not a remake or a reboot, that's what I thought it was. No, a sequel to Candyman? Sign me up. Candyman stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Teyonah Parris and is about a spiritual sequel to the original 1992 Candyman that returns to the now gentrified Chicago neighborhood where the legend began. As I said, walking into the theater, I was hyped. There was no words around it. I was hyped to see this movie because everything from the trailers, the commercials, the posters, it just felt like Candyman was returning to the 21st century, and I needed everyone to go see it because the original Candyman is so damn good. I love the original Candyman. So in this movie, we get a sequel, and I think this movie does something really, really smart. It gives you a rebooted version of Candyman where people who don't see the original can go see this movie. But if you've seen the original, I think you're gonna like this movie a little bit more than others. And let's begin with the positives, and the biggest thing I can say is the direction by Nia DaCosta. She's amazing. I mean, wow. She makes the movie. She's the reason to go see this movie. This is her movie, and she does an amazing job directing this movie. I cannot tell you how many times I watched this movie and I was like, man, she's definitely had that Shining feel. How the movie starts, how they show off the whole cast and the whole crew in the beginning, it felt like The Shining in her own unique, creepy-ass way. She does an amazing job. I mean, honestly, everything technical about this movie is perfect. The sound design, the music itself is so good. Production-wise, the look, the color, cinematography, everything of this movie looks pretty well. Special effects, there's a few times where I'm like, alright, that's CGI, but for the most part, it's really well done. And besides all the technical stuff, we have really good performances across the board, beginning with Yahya, who is actually, you know, everyone always sees him as probably Black Manta from Aquaman. He's actually a really good actor. Watch The Trial of Chicago 7. He's really good. And in this movie, he's very solid in this leading role. Then, of course, we have Teyonah Parris, who is, of course, from WandaVision, who is probably going to be in the Marvels, which Nia DaCosta is going to direct. So it's great to see them working together, and she does a very good job in this movie. She actually has a few moments that are very funny to me, and at the very end of the movie, she definitely has the way of, like, your basic, like, everything's going crazy. Besides all the performances, besides all the great directing, guys, there's literally a moment in this scene where someone's getting brutally murdered. I was smiling grin to grin. I was enjoying it. It's because of the directing. It was really well done. It was really well creepy vibed, and how they presented our Candyman in this movie, it was really creepy. The opening, like I said, is really creepy. It gets under your skin. You're like, I am in it to win it. But the rest of the movie, to me, falls apart. And beginning with my negatives, I'm going to say this right now. I'm not going to get super into this negative, but I will say this. The original Candyman talks about social commentary. If you really watch this movie and you watch it and study it, it does. And it does it very well. And the reason why is because you watch this movie probably for the horror, but you watch it again and again, the social commentary in this movie is out of this world. It's so good. It's so well done and just basically quiet about it. This movie holds nothing back in, like, saying it. I feel like the 21st century, there's no smartness to this movie. It has to be like, hey, here's the social commentary, here's this and this and this. And I've seen a few people, this is not a big spoiler at all, I mean, you know people die in this movie. I've seen a few people say, man, they kill a bunch of white people in this movie. It's very true. It is. I mean, it's very true. I mean, if you watch this movie, you could honestly say white people get presented in a horrible way. For me, it's okay because, I mean, it's Candyman. I mean, he kills a black person in this movie, so I don't understand that comment about the movie. But either way, if you see it that way, you're allowed to. For me, I really wasn't catching up on it until someone told me, but I was really entertained because, like I said, the direction, the style of the movie, when people were getting killed, I was smiling. It was really enjoyable. Besides all the social commentary that is just in your face the entire movie, the character development and the pace of this movie is so bad. The character development, I mean, even Yahya, he's a good dude. He's a good performer. That's why you like him in this movie. You barely get development in this movie. And when his development does finally come, it's in the third act. And like, all right, we need a twist. So let's just rush this up real quick and bam, Candyman kind of stuff. And I was really disappointed because if they would have delved deep into a certain development of him early on, or maybe just a little bit on, and maybe have more of the ending a little bit longer, I feel like it would have been a more impactful ending because the movie's only 91 minutes long. It's an hour-and-a-half movie. And to me, it kind of feels like a studio's like, hey, you made probably a really good movie. I mean, it was written by Jordan Peele and Nia DaCosta, and that's really cool and all, but they gave no development to these characters. I mean, for crying out loud, everyone is going to say this, I promise you. I have not seen any reviews. There is a flashback for a certain character early on in the movie. It's a really good flashback. I'm like, oh shit, that's an awesome flashback. But it never, I'm being honest, it never comes back into play. Ever. It's just shown and we move on. And I was like, that is such an interesting flashback. Can we go back to that? And it just like, it sits there. Like the character development is nowhere to be seen. And like I said, if there was development, I feel like the studios probably cut that shit down. It was like, hey, it's a horror movie, it's rated R. We need 90 minutes. We want to make bank opening weekend. So let's make this thing 90 minutes. Rated R. I don't know. I feel like this movie should have been 2 hours long. It would have been way better with development of these characters and working on the script more with certain scenes. Like, there's a scene where someone gets killed, and the reaction to the other actor was horrible. I mean, this person, I was sitting there cringing. I was like, is that really the take they went with? Is that the dialogue in this scene? This is horrible. Horrible. Someone just got brutally murdered. I mean, this movie holds nothing back in blood and gore. It's gory. It's a gory movie. It's really awesome. But the reaction to this guy is cringy. It's super cringy. I was like, they set it up so well because the direction, the color, the sound design, the music, everything is so well done. But then the reaction to the death is like, oh no, is this a joke? Are you joking right now? While the person's laying there squirting blood. Like, dude, really? And then, like I said, the ending happens. Like I said, there's no development, and then a twist happens, then a big, just kind of bloodbath, you could say, happens at the very end of this movie. And it's rushed to hell. And I mean, just everything is just rushed. I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, there's a certain twist in this character, and this setup. And I mean, there's no development to where a certain main character is getting tortured in front of our eyes. And you don't care because you're like, oh, well, I mean, it was just that dude. And it's like one of the main characters. I'm like, what? He's happening right in front of us. And I'm just like, all right. So, like, what's gonna happen here? And just a minor, not a huge spoiler, the movie is kind of missing Tony Todd. Tony Todd as Candyman is flat out amazing. And this movie, they do something that I actually really like to set up possibly maybe sequels to Candyman that could continue on this franchise. I really like what they did with the lore of this movie. We do have Candyman lore, but they do something to change it up to possibly more Candymen. That's all I'm gonna say. Overall, though, I will say I was really disappointed walking on this movie. Like, again, the direction, the performances, the music, the technical aspect of this movie, perfect. I think the actual story itself needed to be longer. The pace of this movie, it's a quick movie. It's a really quick movie, but it needed to be longer. There are certain developments that never really get developed, and it's really frustrating. And like I said, the ending to me completely says, hey, we don't know what to do anymore. Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. And then it just, boom, it just ends. It ends with a way that makes me smile. I think people who watch the original movie and everything, they watch the end of this movie, they're like, I like that. And then it ends. It's like, oh, okay, well then it ends. Like, damn. That was probably like one of my favorite parts in the whole movie. But again, it's a movie I think people are going to really like. Again, I've seen people love this movie. The social commentary, the performances, and all that. You can love this movie as much. I just gotta say, disappointed. So I'm gonna give Candyman a C-. I really, really wanted to love this movie. I wanted to walk out this movie loving this movie. I've not watched video reviews, but I've seen people like on Twitter and Instagram, social media just in general, love this movie. And it got me so hyped, and I just completely fell flat. And I was like, I'm really disappointed. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't like it. I don't know. Go watch it. and make your own opinion. But for me, I'll buy it and watch it with my mom and dad, but that's about it. Anyway, guys, you guys enjoy this movie review, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.